This is Jim Pete from the Everyone Hates Cleveland podcast at WFNY, and today's guest is Nino Colla of thetribedaily.com, and we're going to be talking about the road to WrestleMania, all the big stories, including the returning Daniel Bryan, heading into the world's biggest professional wrestling event next week. But before I get to Nino and WrestleMania, let me tell you about our sponsor, Minuteman Tickets. We've all had that bad experience buying tickets online where a too good to be true ticket price turns into something else completely thanks to those mysterious fees. A $65 ticket can turn into a $90 ticket in the blink of an eye. Minuteman Tickets is the place to go to get that hassle-free experience. These are fans just like us who've been buying tickets for years, looking to bring the service back to service provider. So here is the deal. You can, of course, check out their website at www.minutemantickets.com, but the real experience is to give them a call for your ticket needs. You tell them about your event and they quote you a price, and there are no fees. What they quote you is what you are going to pay. You can call Scott or Matt, your new ticket agents, at 614-943-3000 for any of your ticket needs, whether it's for the theater, a concert, or, of course, a sporting event. Again, give them a call at 614-943-3000. Now, Nino, Wrestlemania, EHC. Welcome to another edition of Everyone Hates Cleveland, the podcast. This is a home and home series with Nino. The last time we podcasted, Nino, according to our pregame discussion, was 51 weeks ago. Yeah. Talking about, you guessed it, WrestleMania, which is what we're going to be doing today. Hey, Nino, what's been going on the past year?
I don't know. Something about
digging any trenches lately?
Yeah, digging trenches, digging painting kitchens,
all that fun stuff.
My life.
Well, let's talk about
podcast. I don't know. Wasn't it the last one we did? Yep.
Yeah. You got the two big ones in, though.
Yeah.
You got the two. You got Hattery in. You got me in, which is either really good or really bad because we completely shut your podcast down.
Yeah, I do.
Well, Nino and I have been talking sort of off air about kind of acquainting ourselves with podcasting, and I think focusing on professional wrestling of all things here and there and everywhere. So with WrestleMania coming up, I've been talking to Nino, trying to get him on the show, and with holidays and all kinds of crazy stuff going on, we finally got to get this together at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night while painting cabinets and me packing to drive to North Carolina. We're going to hash out now 26 minutes and 17 seconds of professional wrestling talk. And hopefully
we can do this.
We can do this. A two-part series, Road to WrestleMania today. Hopefully sometime next week we'll talk about the card specifically. But to kick things off, perhaps, Nina, one of the biggest things that happened in professional wrestling in many, many, many years, just because of who it is. Last week on SmackDown, of course, Daniel Bryan announcing that he's finally been cleared to wrestle again. And then tonight, officially announcing the match that everybody's been speculating. Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Now, there's been some chicanery in this whole thing, and I want to get to that. But just first reaction to really an unprecedented comeback. I mean, there's really only been one comeback similar to this. Daniel Bryan's mentor, Shawn Michaels, to almost 15 years ago now. What are your thoughts? I mean, this is a big deal. Like, Daniel Bryan may be the biggest name in professional wrestling today. And if you stop and think about that, considering the road it took him to get the title way back when, it seems like a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I would say so. And it's kind of weird how it all came together. I think they were playing it pretty close to the vest that this was sort of the dream that if he was going to be cleared, it would be for this particular WrestleMania in this setting where he won the title and had that big moment. But I think if you're watching the storyline, and I was watching it, and I think we've all been watching it for the past, I don't even know how many months now. It seems like it's been going back since really the thing with Kevin Owens started, and it's just like, where's this going? Like every week, it's like, Well, I wouldn't have made that decision. Well, I made that decision. Well, I would. It's just like a back and forth, and it was like, okay, if this doesn't end with Daniel Bryan knee plussing Shane McMahon in the face at WrestleMania, what are we even doing here? And of course, they took it in a direction where we've now got. I mean, I don't know what's happening with Shane and his diverticulitis, but it seems like it's going to be a tag team match with Shane and Daniel Bryan, who are passive aggressively like getting in fights on air about, oh well, I don't agree with you giving Kevin Owens a match with tagging. So, but I think it's a big thing, and I think they were probably going that route if things didn't work out with his injury, to do something like that.
Well, and they've been kind of playing this angle with Daniel Bryan for a while, because before this whole Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon, Sami Zayn stuff, of course, we had that really long run with him and The Miz, where it almost felt like they were building towards a WrestleMania match.
Sure.
Well, and you know, this is kind of the question that I have for you, and I hate to kind of head down this path already, but you know, does this not seem to you to be kind of an odd match for? I mean, listen, he's going to get a pop regardless, but you know, I mean, if you look at WrestleMania 34 right now, which is actually a fairly sizable and decent card. Gosh, man, what a comeback it would be to see, I don't know, AJ versus Daniel Bryan, Nakamura versus Daniel Bryan, even a match like, you know, putting him up for a title, you know, even The Miz, you know, who's in a actually really interesting match already, you know, are you surprised about this tag team match, or is this maybe the WWE's way of just kind of easing him back in? Although, while it looked like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn took it a little bit easy on where they were kind of attacking him and how they were attacking him, he was pretty tight with his kicks. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a pretty vicious kind of beatdown that he took and that he gave. Are you surprised about the match at the end of the day, even though they were building to this? Or could this match be maybe a step? Maybe we have a Shane McMahon turn and we have Daniel Bryan back in that underdog role. I don't know. I mean, I'm already looking ahead, but could they have done something better with him, or is this a great way to ease him into things?
I mean, they could 86 the Intercontinental title match and just have him face The Miz like we all want, because that was like the best thing going in all of like Raw, SmackDown, when Miz was dropping like what felt like very real promos on Talking Smack, and Daniel Bryan was just sitting there looking very, very much like he was in real life perturbed with this kid sitting here talking about how he can't wrestle anymore, and him just wanted to be like, you know what? I should just drop kick you right now through the set. I mean, I think once you start, like, once that they kept going with the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens thing, it was pretty much clear, like, this is what they were building towards if he got cleared, and he got cleared. And hey, you know what? It's Shane McMahon aside, I'm signing up for Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn in one match, although I don't know what this Shane thing does, but I was probably thinking it'd be like 90% Shane getting beat and just Daniel Bryan sitting on the corner waiting for the tag for like 90% of the match. I'm like, oh yeah, you want Daniel Bryan? You're just going to sit there in the corner waiting for the tag, and you're going to watch Shane McMahon turn purple and die in the middle of the ring.
Well, the interesting shenanigans with this whole thing. We had a couple of things happen over the week. I don't know if you noticed this, but for a while, and I don't think the accounts are still the same, but for a while, I think yesterday or the day before, I think Sami Zayn had changed his Twitter account to El Generico, and Owens had changed his account to Kevin Steen. Now, they're back to normal from what I understand, but tonight, of course, it was announced that the match does have some steps. The stipulations being that if Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon win, Owens and Zayn are still fired from SmackDown. He was very clear in saying that they wouldn't be able to come back to SmackDown. He also noted that if they if Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan win the match, then they stay fired. If they lose the match, they have their SmackDown contracts back. Now, this is what led me to believe that there might be some play here. Of course, the speculation for a while was that the ultimate goal was to have Shane and Daniel Bryan meet. Is it possible? I mean, I don't know. It just seemed weird that all of a sudden Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon got along again. Could you see a scenario where Shane McMahon finally turns heel?
Hasn't he been the heel in this entire thing? I mean, the way he's been such a jerk.
It would be a fantastic switch of events, but he has been the jerk. The problem is,
come on.
Don't you think that the only way you can turn him heel at this point is to be in some sort of faction with Owens and Zayn?
I don't even know. It's just so muddled. It's like he's out there. Like, obviously, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have been doing the typical heel stuff, but then you have Shane in there, like, blatantly, like, costing them. It's like, are you not supposed to be, like, standing up for what's right? Or no, okay, you're just going to be as much of a dirtbag as them. So Daniel Bryan's been the only one that has been a true babyface. I think the only way you turn Shane full heel is if he just, I don't know, as payback, I guess, walks out on Daniel Bryan and lets them win.
Which leads to a feud with Shane, I guess. And then, but that postpones. So, but the problem we have with Daniel Bryan right now is A, he's still the general manager.
Yeah.
B, he's on SmackDown. C, probably the next feud would be with The Miz. So I think we're probably going to see some things play out where we see some shifting. And, of course, Daniel Bryan perhaps getting removed as general manager at some point. I have to imagine that at some point in the next 6 months, maybe heading into SummerSlam, that the goal would be Daniel Bryan and The Miz. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, and it's been 2.5, 3 years, but didn't Daniel Bryan have to give up that IC belt?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, you have your built-in storyline right there wherein lies, Daniel Bryan laying claim to that belt. He also gave up the WWE belt. So of course you could have an angle where he comes back and perhaps has this amazing feud with whoever wins the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match, whoever that might be.
He wanted to do on SmackDown with the Intercontinental title what John Cena ended up doing with the United States title, and he wanted to do an open challenge every week. Just imagine how fire that would have been if he was able to do that with all those matches Cena put on with someone new every week. And we're talking about John Cena there. If Daniel Bryan was able to do that with the likes of Cesaro and all those people, I'd almost at this point that The Miz retains and then they just find a way to get him over to SmackDown and they do that.
Yeah,
I off and let Bryan get the title and just let him do what he wants to do.
Well, and that's the catch-22 though. Like how many dates? The rumored dates that Daniel Bryan has is 60 for the year, and do you just throw the heavyweight belt on him and Brock Lesnar him a little bit? Of course, that's 60's a lot more than Lesnar, but I don't know. I'm just glad he's back. I mean, the energy that he has, and what a moment. I mean, I can't think of. In recent memory, even the Shawn Michaels return, which was a big deal at the time, didn't really have that kind of that cachet that Daniel Bryan brought to it last week. What a promo! And here's the other thing about Daniel Bryan that's really interesting to me. He's been put in a lot of roles over the past, really 10 years where he's been in and out, fired, started off with Nexus, and it seems like, he was a heel for a while and with Kane, he was in that kind of humorous tag team that kind of brought him back to a face. And, he's what's been interesting about this GM run that's really surprising to me is he can really cut a promo now. I don't know he could do that as a wrestler before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Yeah, I've always found him to be entertaining and just once he started, I think you could tell he was just starting to be himself. Even when he was kind of a heel, he was just kind of being maybe like a more twisted version of who he is. But then after that, you kind of just started seeing him just be a little bit more natural. Like the stuff they had him doing stuff with like the Bellas and stuff, and that was just pure
Do you remember the stuff he was doing with Derek Bateman, the current EC3?
That was good stuff. That was on the oh boy.
That was when Bateman was on NXT, I think, and he was under Daniel Bryan's wing.
They were doing like these backstage promos where they were
double dating with the Bellas.
Yeah, and Bateman was in this like America getup.
He had Daniel Bryan told him to dress up, and he had like the blazer and the white shirt. They pan down, and he's got the American like sweatpants on.
Yeah, that was some prime stuff there. I will say this though, that Daniel Bryan's really the only reason that I kept watching professional wrestling for a while. I mean, I think it was CM Punk that brought me back and Daniel Bryan that kept me around. So just to be able to see him come back in this manner is pretty cool, you know, because I think he kept a lot of fans and he created a lot of fans. So when you saw all those people just kind of like dude didn't even need to point to the WrestleMania sign like people do. You know, they all just did it for him. It was just kind of like, yeah. I mean, that just tells you all you need to know about the guy, and I think that's it's a really cool thing for him just to be able to now, because you could just tell in some of those, like when those things happened with the Miz, or even when he was doing that stuff with Ziggler, you could tell he just wanted to get in the ring so bad. And it was tearing him up that he couldn't.
Gosh, but the matches that are in front of him, though, I mean, no matter what brand he sticks at, you know, whatever they decide to do with him next, it should be a fun little ride. You mentioned that one little moment where he didn't even have to point to the WrestleMania sign where the crowd started going nuts, and he sort of took a peek up at it. That moment, that little moment where he just took that peek, and you kind of got the impression, wait a second, he might do something right here. Something might happen right here. The shock of the night for me was that something actually did happen, that he actually took bumps. I was surprised that the WWE went all in. But of course, if there's two wrestlers that he trusts more than Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, I'm not sure who that is, although he did have some phenomenal matches in the past with, no pun intended, AJ Styles. You want to watch some fun matches, go back and watch them in ROH. They had a couple of really great matches. All right, we could talk about Daniel Bryan all day, but we've only got 10 minutes and 57 seconds left. I do want to dive into a couple of other things here. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about a match that might or might not be happening. And we didn't even talk about this in the pregame, but this seems to be the worst kept secret. This is the John Cena I don't have a match escapades with the Undertaker. What's going on? We know the Undertaker and Cena are going to wrestle, right? I mean,
they wouldn't do all this if that wasn't going to happen.
So is this some sort of, with Kid Rock going in, and I don't even really want to get into him, but with Kid Rock going in, I mean, is this like, with him putting down the dead man stuff? Are we going to be getting, the American Badass now? We're going to have Kid Rock like singing him into the ring. Is this what we're getting? The American Badass versus John Cena?
I hope. I mean, I don't know. I'm like not interested at all. You get Cena out there doing his shtick, and I don't hate John Cena, but he's out there making weird faces and doing and then you have Michael Cole. That's what the Undertaker. No shit. That's what the Undertaker does. I mean, what's he? It went from I'm gonna challenge the Undertaker to all right, I'm just gonna go out here and make fun of the guy because ... Like I don't know. I'm like over it already. I hope they go out. If anything, I'm glad that they're putting Cena in like a non-important thing against another part-timer, and it's probably going to be a 5-minute match because God only knows if the Undertaker can walk out to the ring and do things.
When the conversation is he got his hip replaced, so he should wrestle better. That really got
let it go. If there's anything, I respect Shawn Michaels, and he's like, I had my retirement match and I'm retired.
Right.
And I don't know if they're like pushing Taker to do this, but I would think it was pretty clear. Like, what did they do the whole song and dance for with him laying the stuff down and
he's done it. He's done it. I feel like he did it 2 years ago too, in some form or fashion. Like he said something in the middle of the ring. I
mean, you got the impression with the end of the era match that it was legitimately like, okay, Triple H is going to win and he's going to retire the Undertaker.
Nope.
Or the Undertaker would win and then that would be it. Like this was next year it's okay, they're right back.
He's the Brett Favre of the WWE. It's just the way it's going. I mean, it's one of those things I think where maybe this is maybe something that Mark Callis wanted. Like maybe he just wanted to end his career against John Cena. Maybe Cena will do the sell for him, and we'll get the 1 year kind of walk down memory lane with the Undertaker. Getting inducted into the Hall of Fame next year. If they do it the right way. And if Cena, and you can say what you want about John Cena, but he loses the matches that he needs to lose, and who knows? Maybe the Undertaker's been dark because you looked at the 20. I don't know what you thought, but at the 25th Raw
didn't make a damn blink of sense what he said.
No, and he didn't look great to me, and it was kind of just a weird spot to begin with. So.
And
I don't know.
You've got this whole thing, and here's the thing that bugs me the most. You've got Cena out there kind of just breaking the mystique of so maybe it leads to what you're saying about him just coming out as American Badass Taker. Was like he's going out there and just kind of breaking the whole mystique of the Undertaker by saying, oh, you're just out there, posting workout videos on your wife. Okay, now all right. So the Undertaker has a wife. Oh, it's Michelle McCool. Oh, all right. Well, I guess he's not really dead. Right, well,
it's a weird path, man. It's a weird. How great is it going to be? How great is it going to be when the Undertaker never shows up and John Cena has to sit in the first row and just watch the whole thing?
He's going to sit there and be making like dirt faces and his hand in his face. Like, we could see you there. You clearly don't have a match, so
we don't have a host yet, do we?
God, do we need a host? Is that a thing?
Well, you hear these rumors. You hear these rumors. Let's do it, man. Maybe if we do good in these two podcasts.
Yeah, I doubt that.
All right, let's talk about two more things here. Roman Reigns is winning, right?
Just let him win and let's get over it. Let's put this 5-year misery train to an end. Let him beat Brock Lesnar. Let him have his WrestleMania moment so that we can just move on with our lives.
But why are they making Lesnar the heel? Why are they're just making him this? What is this incessant desire to make Roman Reigns a babyface? Turn him heel. Make him a heel.
They had a golden opportunity to make Roman Reigns the biggest thing in the world last year when all he did was come out. Everyone booed him incessantly, and all he said was, "This is my yard now," and he drops the mic.
The mic drop. It was
best moment
we had that week. We're like, they got it right
in the career of Roman Reigns, and they had gold there. They could have just continued down that path, and he would have naturally become cool again. And you would have had your baby face in that you wanted. But no.
So let's talk about something fun.
Okay.
All right. So, you and I since NXT has been a thing, it's sort of been our thing. And Saturday nights, the TakeOver New Orleans, we have a few matches listed already, but I just wanted to talk about two specifically, and perhaps And I hate to throw a match of the year candidate without them even wrestling, but one of the better builds of a feud is the Tommaso Ciampa, Cleveland homegrown Johnny Gargano feud that was set up before Ciampa's injury almost a year ago. The buildup has been pretty fantastic. Ciampa cost Gargano his NXT contract. Gargano has been showing up everywhere, kind of chasing him down. There was this YouTube video of him chasing him down in a car this week. I think these guys are getting set up to go to 205 Live. But, what do you think about this feud? With Ciampa being gone, they've rebuilt Johnny Gargano really well to set him up for this fall. Where do you see this match going?
Yeah, I don't even know. I think that's the great thing about it is almost the injury sort of made this better, because at first you're like, oh, well, shoot, now we're going to have to wait. But it's almost been better because now we've been waiting. And then you knew like when Gargano has this championship match that his old friend's going to come out at some point. And then he doesn't.
Yes.
And then they put the end credit on there and you're like, huh. And then that son of a bitch comes out with the crutch and does it again. And you're just kind of like, all right, now I want to see the guy die. I don't know. It's one of the best things. And when you just said they're probably setting him up for 205 Live a few weeks ago, I kind of would have been like, oh God, but actually 205 Live has been pretty damn good since Triple H took over sort of running that. So I'm kind of excited. You saw their Cruiserweight Classic match, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
If it's anything close to that, this will definitely be, especially now with so that one had an interesting dynamic because they were still a tag team at the time, and they were pretty much just, it was sort of like a battle of wills things, and they knew each other so well. And back then, now this is going to be interesting because it's all about how much they hate each other, and that's going to be fun.
And there's no, I like the fact that there's no title involved. There's no next, yeah, right. And at the end of this, we know that no matter what happens, there's going to be something that happens down the line somewhere else. Now, someone brought up something interesting to me. They've been talking about, and I haven't talked about Braun Strowman at all, but Strowman has to get a tag team title. I forget what podcast I was listening to, but one of the guys, it was maybe Peter Rosenberg's podcast. It was either Rosenberg's podcast or maybe the Masked Man Show podcast. But one of them mentioned Gargano as the possible tag team member with Braun Strowman. Wouldn't that be interesting if Gargano shows up not on 205 Live, but this is his introduction to the main roster as Braun Strowman's partner?
It would make, I don't know, it wouldn't make much sense, but
well,
I'm only accepting two people at two options as Braun Strowman's partner. Option A, no one.
It's got to be it.
Or option B, as close to no one as you'll get in James Ellsworth. I can just see him like dragging Ellsworth to the ring, like, well, you said I needed a partner. And he just throws him like against the barricade, manhandles him, and just puts him on the side of the ring and just like, all right, you just stay there and I'll do all the work.
Oh, how amazing would that be? For a year, they're the tag team champs.
Oh, yeah. It's just him. And then it ends when Ellsworth is like, I'm going to tag myself in. And then Braun Strowman just eats him in the middle of the ring.
Oh man. All right. So I'm gonna be honest with you. The timer just ran out. I'm gonna stop us there. I gotta stay
getting into my Braun Strowman routine. What are you doing? All
right. So listen, we're gonna yeah, by the way, that was very good. I'm not gonna lie. You look nothing like Braun Strowman, but since I can't see you, you sounded a lot like Braun Strowman.
Thanks. I've been working on it.
All right, we definitely have to end it there. All right, Nino, it has been my pleasure. Next week, let's try to do this again. We'll talk specifics on the card. We'll go a lot faster than we did in our 1 hour and 45-minute podcast of last year. we'll hit the highlights and we'll stay away from the lowlights. And but it's been good talking to you, my friend. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but the goal is to do this as regularly as we can, right?
Hey, yeah, I'm all for it.
Let's do it. I don't care. Maybe we only get 10 listeners, but we love you, 10 listeners.
10 more than my podcast last year had, so that's good.
Well, listen, right now there's a bunch of people thinking that they were going to hear Hattery and me talk baseball. If you made it this far expecting us to talk about, I don't know, the fact that Greg Allen is playing in AAA Columbus.
Oh, you love that, don't you?
Oh, it's my favorite thing. The good news is he'll be there with the Andy Diaz. And I'm stopping there. I'm gonna cut a promo that no one's gonna want to hear. All right, on that note, we'll see you next week.
Have a good night, everybody.